What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on in NFL world? How you doing, Division Rivals? This is Stephen Hyder, Gate City Sports Channel, where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. All right, man. 53-man roster time, right? Let's get into the news of the day, guys. Philadelphia Eagles have traded for former Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback Garner Minshew. Minshew Mania coming to Philadelphia, guys. We got the Fu Manchu quarterback himself coming in. A lot to break down here, guys. I mean, to begin with, we know that the Eagles have been kind of searching for a younger, kind of developmental piece that they can have as a long-term backup. Um, there's a lot going on here that's kind of hard to hash out. I mean, the one thing I can tell you is that Garner Minshew is under contract for this season, obviously, and next year, 2022. I don't know if I'd say it's long term. I guess it depends on how the league would view a guy like Garner Minshew and how you can get a guy like that. You know, would there be teams that might be interested in trying to bring a guy in like that to compete and stuff like that with a guy? It's kind of hard. Think of Tyrod Taylor, right? Like a guy that kind of is always a go-to guy to compete with a younger quarterback. I think you always have to keep that in mind with these type of players. But Garner Minshew is a tremendous improvement, in my opinion, over Nick Mullins. Um, you guys know it was no secret I was not a big Nick Mullins supporter from that signing, guys. I thought he was entirely too risky with the football. Look, it is what it is, guys. I mean, I know some of you guys are probably excited. Some of you guys probably think like, hey, man, he might have a shot to be the number two quarterback. I don't think that's what the vision is. I mean, you can never say never to anything because, I mean, if he's just clearly better, he's clearly better than Joe Flacco. You know what I mean? But I do think the Eagles look at it from a financial standpoint and they see $3.5 million guaranteed to Joe Flacco, a 10-year plus, veteran in the league. That's probably going to be your primarily number two guy. But, we'll have to see, man. Garner Minshew's coming in here at under $1 million a season, guys. Normally, I know these things shouldn't take place, guys, but you know just as well as I know, money always factors in, and you got one guy that's got pretty. I'm not gonna call it a large sum. $3.5 million is not a huge deal, but you got guaranteed money when you're underneath the strict cap situation. So my guess is that Garner Minshew coming in here is going to be QB number 3. He might potentially be possibly a long term backup kind of answer here. I guess you have to define what you mean by long term. I mean that can be kind of confusing. I get it, guys, and it's may not what one person says is long term may not be the subjective. There's some subjectivity to it. I get it. Um, with that said, guys, Garner Minshew is here. The Eagles did trade away a 6th-round pick in next year's draft to secure Garner Minshew. So, hey, it is what it is, guys. I think this is certainly going to impact the roster because I had only 2 quarterbacks making my 53-man roster, and obviously with Garner Minshew here and with Joe Flacco here with Jalen Hurts, you're going to carry 3 quarterbacks. So I'm not normally a big proponent of carrying 3 quarterbacks. I always just feel like you can carry a 3rd quarterback on your practice squad. I'm just going to assume that given the circumstance of having a new offense installed and having so much uncertainty, you got an older guy that's had a neck injury as your backup quarterback. You got a younger guy that you're still trying to learn a lot about. So I can understand under these circumstances, in particular, carrying 3 quarterbacks. But I will say that from my own personal standpoint, guys, I'm not a huge fan of carrying it just because quarterbacks don't do a lot of good for you on special teams. You can always get a guy in your practice squad to run your scout team. It's just things like that for me, guys. Is I don't see a lot of the practicability of carrying a 3rd guy, but they're clearly going to this year. So I think the other side of this thing to talk about, guys, is somebody's about to get axed. I had 6 receivers on my 53-man roster last time up. I'm not saying the Eagles won't carry 6 receivers. I still think it is a distinct possibility, but I think you got to be careful because either it's going to come off of your running backs, your offensive linemen, the tight end group, or your receiver, depending on how many running backs you had carried, how many linemen you had carried, how many tight ends you were carrying, if you were carrying 4 or, receivers, right? So either you're going 5 receivers and not 6, you're either going 3 tight ends and not 4, you're either going 9 offensive linemen and not 10, or you're going 3 running backs and not 4. It's going to be one of those things, guys, right? So we'll see, guys. I mean, I've heard some churmurs. I think my guy Don was talking about, Boston Scott got a lot of showcase last night. Maybe Boston Scott is a guy the Eagles are trying to see if anyone might have interest in picking up as a change of pace back, since we have Kenny Gainwell here and they're visioning that role there. Possibly, I don't think, they would look at Jordan Howard that way because I just don't think there's a lot of interest in a guy like Jordan Howard. So I think if he makes the roster, he's here to stay. I could see that situation, guys, but I'm not 100% sure. I mean, my gut instinct is this team wants to use a lot of two running back sets. I'm not saying that it's going to be a predominant part of the offense, but there's going to be an uptick from what we saw with Doug. So I do think that there's a possibility they do go in with four running backs. But like I said, with a third quarterback, numbers are numbers. It has to come off somewhere, guys. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all's time and attention. And let me know what you guys think in the comment below. Peace.